Hello, everybody, and welcome. It is Thursday night at 6 p.m. right here in California, and that means it's time for Synergy Theater Online. My name is Ken Adams. I'm the artistic director of Synergy Theater, and it is a pleasure to welcome you here today. This is a special weekend for us because this is the final weekend of our current season. That means we have a show tonight. We have a very special show tomorrow night, which I'll tell you more about later. And then we are off until the top of January when we return with our brand new season with 8 brand new shows that the world has never seen before. So we are all looking forward to a happy holiday season here. We hope you are too. We thank you very much for ringing in the holidays and the new year with Synergy Theater. Synergy Theater performs full-length improvised plays in a wide variety of styles and genres. And tonight we are delighted to be bringing back one of our favorite hits from our previous season, The Mating Game. Tonight's show, The Mating Game, is in the style of that old dating television show, The Dating Game, but is this one really a game or is it life? We don't know. We'll have to find out as we watch the show. So welcome, everybody. You are watching us either on YouTube or Facebook. If you would like to interact with us tonight and offer us some suggestions for the show, then please go ahead and log into your YouTube account. That's how we'll be soliciting suggestions tonight, through the interactive chat feature on YouTube. So go ahead and log on for us, and then you'll be able to chat. And speaking of suggestions, we are going to start asking you for those suggestions right now, because everything we do is improvised and we need your suggestions to get inspired. So, as in the old dating game show, we are going to have a bachelor who is looking for love with 3 willing contestants, and all of those contestants are going to have an occupation. So the first suggestion that I'm going to ask you to put into chat there is an occupation, a job that our 3 contestants can have. They'll all need a separate occupation, and we need you to go ahead and throw up as many jobs as you can in the chat right now. All right, I see those jobs coming up. I'm not going to tell you which ones we're going to choose. In fact, our improvisers are going to choose the ones that they see first when they take a glance at their screen, and will be surprised when they enter and we find out what they are. So you're doing a great job. Please go ahead, throw up a couple of more occupations. I am aware that I keep saying throw up. I hope nobody is really vomiting. We just want you to go ahead and put a bunch of suggestions up in your YouTube chat. All right, excellent job. Keep going, a couple of more occupations, and then I'm going to ask you for another suggestion, and we're going to need a whole bunch of those as well. So here we go. I think we have enough. I think we have enough jobs now. Excellent suggestions there. The next suggestion that I'm going to ask you for is a secret. Each of our longing hearts tonight will be holding a secret that might come out during a tense moment of their interaction. So can you please jump onto your YouTube chat and type in a secret that somebody might be keeping deep in their heart that might come out in a romantic relationship? I see that we have some secrets popping up right now. Love self unconditionally. Someone is actually an android. That's Randy Salvador. Randy, hello. Thank you for being here. Mary is suggesting was a mistress to a celebrity. Awesome. Keep them coming, folks. And we are going to allow a number of those to get up on the screen. Our improvisers are going to choose the ones that they want to hold deep in their heart. And then we will be ready to begin our show. I think we have just a few more popping up on the screen there, so let them come up. Thank you all so much for your creativity. Thank you for being here. And now we are going to get started with the show. So everybody, please sit back and enjoy the mating game.
Three wonderful contestants. However, the Bachelor or Bachelorette cannot see the contestants. They must choose their date based on the sound of their voice and their answers to personal questions. Tonight, we have not one, but two rounds for you, with two different Bachelors or Bachelorettes and two sets of contestants. And now, please welcome your host, Pat McGroin.
Well, hello everybody. I am Pat McGroin and welcome to the mating game. Tonight we are looking for real love right here in our studio. And when we find it, you'll know it's real because we found it on TV. My friends, it's time to get started. Tonight we are going to have three people who are going to hide themselves from our longing heart on the other side of a barrier and answer questions. At the end of the questioning period, our longing heart will make a choice and we will see if they find true love. And now it's time to meet our contestants. Let's welcome number one to the stage. Number one is a blackjack dealer from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello, contestant number one. How are you?
I'm doing great, Pat. How are you?
It's so nice to have you on the show, contestant number one. You must enjoy the thrill and the risk of the Las Vegas casino atmosphere. What's it like working in one of those places?
It is a thrill seeing all the humans. I mean, the wonderful people.
Well, all right. Why don't you go behind the barrier over there and let's meet contestant number two. Contestant number two is a logger from Telluride, Colorado. Hello, contestant number two. How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Contestant number two, it must be hard on those cold winter days out there doing your job. What's one of the ways you loggers keep warm?
Now, see, there's a misconception between a logger and a lumberjack. I don't like the outdoors, so I stay inside at all times, and I just saw the logs. I don't cut down the trees.
Well, that is more than I wanted to know. All right, why don't you go back behind our barrier there and let's meet contestant number three. Contestant number three is a cardboard box assembly technician all the way from Marin County, California. Number three, how did you first get started assembling boxes?
Well, Pat, it started as a child. It began when I started disassembling cereal boxes, and the rest is history.
I'll say. All right, number three, good luck to you. Why don't you go behind that barrier over there? And now let's meet our longing heart who is looking for love. Come on out. That's right, everybody. Our longing heart tonight for our first episode is Listerine. Lista, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am from the Midwest. I really don't want to pinpoint that because people start to judge me a little bit, but I love butterflies and I love fairy tales and I love movies that have a happy ending.
That is a beautiful list of things to love, Listerine. How did your last relationship end and why?
It ended because I hate to say this really because I don't want to seem like I'm a victim or anything, but I just didn't like him. And so because he didn't like butterflies and he didn't like happy endings. And so I just kicked him out.
Well, That's your decision, and I'm glad you made it. In fact, if you hadn't made it, we would not have been able to bring you on the show tonight, and having you on the show is one of the highlights of my career. So I'm very glad that you're here, and I wish you the best of luck. All right, let's bring the lights up on our three contestants. I'll remind the audience that our three contestants are behind a wall, and so Listerine cannot see them, and they cannot see her. If love is to be found tonight, it will have to be found through the sound of the voice and the context of their answers. Listerine, it's time for our first round of questions.
Okay, this is so exciting. Contestant number one, if you were a bird, what would that bird be and why?
It would be an American bald eagle because it is a representation of this fine land.
Same question, number two.
I would say that I would be a kookaburra because I hear that they're not very fond of being with other birds, and I'm kind of an introvert.
Number three, same question.
My favorite bird is the South African box cutter. It's a beautiful
and
bird.
why?
Oh.
Okay, a beautiful bird.
It's beautiful and it has
And
a large beak.
Well, number one, do you know why I might love a finch?
A finch is a rare bird found in the northern regions of climates that require a tepid atmosphere. Therefore, I assume that based on your skin complexion, you also prefer those climates.
Well, number three, what about you? Why would I love a finch?
Because finches come in many colors and they really know how to build a good nest.
Number two, why would I love a finch? Do you know?
I think finches are kind of those birds that fly around in Snow White and those fairy tales, and they help out women who think they're princesses.
Well, I'll tell you why, if it's okay. Is it all right, Pat, if I answer the question for them and tell them why?
This is your world, Listerine. The rest of us are just living in it.
Finches mate for life. Once they find their mate, they never leave their mate. Number three, do you mate for life, or are you a one night stand?
I definitely mate for life. And I would still be with my mates, except they've all died.
Oh. Well, I'm going to move on. Number one, if your best friend were to describe you in one word, what would that word be and why?
Efficiency, because I calculate not only how to exactly play the cards and all the odds, but I'm also efficient in my life.
Number two, same question?
I don't have any friends, so they wouldn't have anything to describe me.
Number three, same question.
Capacious.
Capacious? And why?
Because I can contain volumes of information and I contain lots of love. I just need someone to give it to.
You just feel like you want to give love?
I do.
Have you ever given love, number three?
I have.
And to who did you give love to?
Well, my first husband, Roland, was my first love, and he died in a birding accident. My second husband, Ralph, we were together for a while, and he died in a box accident. And then I was with Marjorie for several years, and she mysteriously disappeared in the box factory.
Number one, do you consider yourself to be romantic or pragmatic?
A little bit of both. I find a good balance is necessary for a successful pair bonding.
Number two, are you a hugger or are you kind of standoffish?
I've never touched another human being, really. Not even my mother. I try to stay away from them. So standoffish.
And now we are going to allow a moment of reflection while I have a private chat with Listerine. So I'm going to turn down the light on all of our contestants. And Listerine, I want you to know that you and I are talking privately and confidentially, except, of course, for the 70,000 viewers that are watching us at home. But I have to say, Listerine, you don't look like you're very excited about any of these contestants so far. I just want to check in about how you're feeling about each one at the moment.
Well, they don't seem to have any feelings. I'm trying to find out if they're romantic, if they want to love, if there's reasons to be here in the first place to have a date. And I'm not hearing that that's why they're here.
Have you often
Yeah.
Have you often found that the rest of the world doesn't live up to your expectations?
Yes, I have found that. Is that so obvious?
Well, we did look far and wide for these three contestants. They do represent the best the world has to offer.
Wow. Okay, well, maybe I better ask some better questions. Let me think about that, and I'll see if I can't find out more about them. They just feel so stiff. And
Well, sometimes when people appear stiff to us, it's because we're looking at them from behind a board.
that's true.
If
Okay,
you
well,
say so. All right, let's bring back the lights up on our contestants. And Listerine, it's time for the next round of questions.
number one, do you believe in having a soulmate?
I believe in having a correct representation of oneself. And if that is what you call a soul, then I must find the equal in another so that we may procreate correctly.
Have you ever procreated?
I have not. That's why I'm here to experience a new companion, if you will. And I'm hoping that will be you, my soulmate.
Number two, what wedding vows are your favorite?
I guess in sickness and in health, because I get sick a lot. I have a really bad immune system, and usually no one's around to take care of me because I live all alone. And I guess I would just want company. If anyone would like me, I don't know if they would.
Number three, what vows have you broken? You've been married before.
Well, um, well, okay. It wasn't my fault when it happened. I had no idea that I was doing it because I'm a really bad sleepwalker. And evidently, when my husband and I were asleep, and later Marjorie, I would go out and rob banks.
Oh.
To me, that's a violation of our vows, because I never promised that I would not rob a bank.
That's actually
And that sound means it's time for our Let's Go Private round. Listerine, you get to choose one of these contestants to have a private question and answer session.
I'd like to talk with number two.
All right, let's let number two and Listerine go private.
Why do you
Did you
feel
think-
so alone? What? Yes?
I was just surprised you
I-
picked me.
Because I love the sound of your voice, and I don't know, I guess you sound so lonely. Why?
I guess I'm just worried if I go out there that no one's gonna like me. So I stay inside and I play with my own log, and I don't go out there and meet real trees like the other lumberjacks do.
Why did you decide to be on the mating game if you don't like to be around people?
Well, I want to meet someone. I needed a little help. And I was thinking that this show might get me a date or something.
What do you like to do during the day?
Well, a lot of the time I'm hiding because you see I live in the woods and I'm scared of the animals, the bears, not real bears, teddy bears, okay? I'm afraid there's teddy bears out there and I don't want to go outside.
You're afraid of teddy bears? I'm afraid of teddy bears. I've never met anybody who's been afraid of teddy bears.
I haven't either. Why would they take such a gruesome creature and try to make it into a children's toy?
That's what I was wondering. In fact, I think teddy bears are scary, really, really scary. I used to rip the heads off mine. What about you?
I would use a buzzsaw to cut them.
What a great idea. I hadn't thought of that. Oh, well, you sound so interesting. Do I sound interesting to you?
And that's all the time we have for our private round. So let's bring the lights back up on everybody. I will say, though, that I kept giving them the please come back signal for a number of minutes, but they were just ignoring it, leading me to believe that there's a little bit of a connection forming there. I don't know what the other two contestants want to do about it. I'll just say that I noticed it. All right, Listerine, it's time for our next round of questioning.
Oh, number 2, have you ever connected with somebody and thought there was chemistry or a connection that you just had to explore?
One time I was looking out my window and I made eye contact with a woman who was passing by, and she was so beautiful, but I got shy and I looked away and I closed my curtains. But for that one brief moment, I felt alive.
Number 1, have you ever had that feeling of a connection where you just had to find out more about the person that you just saw?
Yes, I have. Upon seeing you now, I have calculated the odds of us being together, and the odds are in my favor. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
What? Number 3, have you ever passed a stranger and looked back and they were looking at you at the same time? Has that ever happened to you?
It has happened to me. And usually it's because I've dropped something and they notice it as well.
When did that happen?
It happened just 2 days ago. I was carrying a load of boxes and I dropped some boxes and some other things.
And it is time for the sticks and stones round. In this round, we're going to give Listerine an opportunity just to sit back and listen, and we're going to offer each of our contestants to point out something that is terribly wrong with the other two. Number 1, please point out to Listerine one reason why number 2 would make a terrible mate.
Number 2 is self-isolating, and judging by the tone of his voice, I calculate that he is rather self-conscious of his own will and prefers to play with his own logs.
And number 1, please tell Listerine what's wrong with number 3.
Number 3 seems to be hiding something within her own soul that she will not divulge, something that has kept her alone this entire time.
Number 2, what is something that's wrong with number 1?
I guess that he seems too self-confident for a person.
And what is something that's wrong with number 3?
That she goes outside and has friends.
And finally, number 3, what is something that's wrong with number 1?
Sounds like he's too good at math.
And something that's wrong with number 2.
That he has a chainsaw and might use it.
Well, that is a lot to consider, Listerine, as you continue with our next and final round of questioning.
Well, okay, number 3.
Yes.
When you dropped those boxes, were you wearing a red scarf?
I was. Yes.
Were you wearing a brightly colored hat?
I was.
Did you sit down on the ground and start packing it all up? And did that person come up to you and help?
I did, and they did. And that person was wearing green culottes.
And did that person write you a note, but then at the last minute tuck it back in their pants and run away?
They did. They had it. They were about to hand it to me, and then suddenly they put it into their pocket. Yes.
Oh.
Pat, if I may, I have an ace up my sleeve. Could I
Number 1.
have 30 seconds private conversation with the Bachelorette?
That is absolutely within your permission, appropriate behavior. So yes, you may. Let's give them the privacy, please.
Hello, Bachelorette. I just
Hi.
want to say that I've been analyzing your speech patterns, and also from the distance across the studio, I can smell your pheromones. And I know that you and I will be able to replicate a fantastic simulacrum of our union.
Does that sound like something you could do willingly, or did you just calculate that it makes sense to do it?
My calculations assign me the ability to produce free will. And though I am now learning how to be more emotional with joy, sadness, concern, deep thought and listening, I will promise you a happy life.
What does love feel like to you?
If I had to say, love feels like being with you. Love feels like two people in complete trust and union for respect for one another, who will live a long and fruitful life.
Can I ask you one other question that I hope you can answer honestly?
Please do.
Are you human?
That is a very profound and existential question. Are you?
And that's all the time we have. So we're going to bring the lights up on all of our contestants. And now, Listerine, there is time for one more question for each contestant, but it must be a question that they can answer with a one-word answer. And after that, it will be time to make your choice. What is your one-word answer question for contestant number 1?
Do you love me?
Yes.
And your one-word question answer for contestant number 2.
Would you take me for life?
Sickness.
And your one-word answer question for contestant number 3.
Could you be my Finch?
Yes.
All right, it is time to see if we're going to make a love connection here. Let's turn out the light on all of our contestants. And Listerine, let's first start by bringing out the contestant, one of them that you are not going home with tonight. Who is it, Listerine?
Contestant number 3.
Number 3, come on out here. Why don't you look her right in the eyes and tell her why you rejected her?
Because you didn't chase after me.
I knew it.
It was me, but you didn't run and come back. You didn't ask me, why did I tuck it back in my pocket?
Oh, That's my fatal flaw. Always boxing myself in and never allowing myself to really follow my heart. I'm sorry.
Well, we have some nice parting gifts for you on the way out. We really don't. All right, Listerine, who is the next contestant that you are not going home with tonight?
Well, this one kind of breaks my heart, but contestant number 2.
Contestant number 2. Let's bring contestant number 2 out here. And Listerine, why don't you look right in the eyes of contestant number 2 if we can get him to raise them and tell him why he's a loser.
Because I think you want to be alone. I think that you just feel better being by yourself, and that I would be an intrusion in a way that you wouldn't appreciate.
Right. I guess I'll just live my life alone with my own log inside.
And off you go. We have some nice parting gifts for you on the way out. We really don't. And now that means you chose the one person who literally has no emotions with which you could ever possibly connect. Let's bring out the thing of your dreams. Come on out here. And why don't you tell contestant number 1 just why you chose it?
Because I was programmed with emotions, and I feel that we are compatible because we are both not human.
What?
Fantastic.
I am also an android.
What? Well, that is amazing. And what do you know, folks? It seems like there is someone out there for everyone, so don't give up. All right, we are going to send Listerine and contestant number 1 off on a dream date to a Jiffy Lube, where they will each have their oil changed free of charge. All right, you two, why don't you rattle off, because now we are going to take a quick commercial break while we get ready for our next episode of The Mating Game. Now, while we are waiting for our next episode to get ready, I know that some of you probably have questions for me, Pat McGroin. I know I'm always up here making other people answer questions, but today I'd like to bear a little bit of my soul and answer your questions about me. So if you're out there in our studio audience, why don't you use your interactive chat device and ask me a question, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Love is an open book. What is your favorite pasta? Mary wants to know what my favorite pasta is. Mary, my favorite pasta is linguine, because I think when you say linguine, it sounds like I love you. And no kidding around, Mary, I do love you. So let me just say linguine. All right, let's see. Crab or lobster, Valerie wants to know. The answer is lobster, because I'm always wearing a bib when I eat, so it just makes it easier. All right, Alan is asking, why don't you have a mustache? And the answer is, I would never hide this upper lip from the ladies. Linguine. And we have time for just a few more questions. Lynn Shields is wondering, are you single? And if so, will you marry me? The answers are yes and no, but not necessarily in that order. And our final question from Karen Harrell. Pat, what is your favorite song from Broadway shows? And my favorite song from Broadway shows is Tomorrow from the hit show Annie, because Annie believes that the sun will come out tomorrow, and I believe that tomorrow is always another day to find love. And speaking of another day to find love, our commercial break is over, and it's time for the next episode of The Mating Game. Let's meet our first contestant. Yes, our first contestant is a lounge singer all the way from Brooklyn, New York, where she sings in Joe's Clam Bar in Sheepshead Bay. Hello, contestant number one. How are you today?
Fabulous, darling.
Well, contestant number one, you must have had some steamy situations in the lounge while you were singing. Can you tell us a little story about one of your steamiest?
Yes, one time my very famous ex-lover came into my lounge and I sang him quite a tune and all of the paparazzi were there.
Well, did he give you any linguine?
He put his noodle somewhere.
Oh my goodness, it must be the Late Show. All right, contestant number one, why don't you go behind our site-proof barrier and let's meet contestant number two. Contestant number two is a cheetah whisperer all the way from Poughkeepsie. Contestant number two, how did you first discover your intuitive knack for cheetah whispering?
It was when I was on safari and I fell off the bus, landed on an ant mound, and was rescued by a troop of cheetahs.
Tell me this, contestant number two, it's something I've always wondered. Is it true that they never prosper? That's just a little cheetah joke. Cheetahs never. All right, contestant number two, I wish you the best of luck. Why don't you go behind our site-proof barrier and let's meet contestant number three. Contestant number three is a ventriloquist all the way from Boise, Idaho. Contestant number three, who do you have there with us?
I have my playmate, Marsha.
I see. Well, it's very nice to have both of you here. Contestant number three, have you ever felt jealousy in love over your ventriloquist dummy there?
Absolutely. My ventriloquist dummy gets so much attention, more than me.
Well, all right. Why don't you go behind our site-proof barrier, or should I say, why don't the two of you go behind our site-proof barrier? Because now it's time to meet our bachelor looking for love. Let's bring that bachelor out here. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, please say hello to Dance Fever. Hello, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing groovy, Pat.
Dan, I have to say you look amazing.
Thank you.
Dan, let me ask you something. A groovy fellow like you who seems to have all the moves, why do you think you have been having trouble finding the love of your life?
You see, Pat, I like swing dancing. And when you're a swinger like me, it's hard to settle down with just one dance partner. But I'm looking to find one, maybe.
Well, I understand, hopefully, that one person who's going to bring you into the love seat and keep you off the dance floor is sitting right there behind that site-proof barrier. Let's bring up the lights on all of our contestants. And Dance Fever, it's time for you to ask your first round of questions.
I gotta say, contestant number one, what's your favorite type of way to move your body?
I could show you that behind the curtain, dear. My favorite way is holding a microphone right in front of me and singing.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. How about contestant number 2? Talk to me. How do you sweet talk a guy?
Well, I start by purring, and then I start rubbing my hands all over his hairy chest. It works every time.
I like it. I got a rug right here. Now, contestant number 3. I always say it takes 2 to tango. Who's your best friend and why do you like him?
Well, my best friend is a person named Marcia, and Marcia is always with me. We hang out together. Isn't that right, Marcia? Yeah, it's absolutely right.
All right, Dance Fever, you've got some real contenders here. I don't envy you your choice. Why don't you move on to your second round of questioning?
All right. I'm going to go to you, number 3. If you were to throw a party, what type of party would it be?
Oh my gosh, I would throw a puppet party because that is so much fun. The puppets are ridiculous. Marionettes, you've got dummies, you've got puppets on hands, you've got puppets on strings. Oh, you'd have so much fun at a puppet party. No kidding. Isn't that right, Marcia? Oh, it's absolutely right. It's my favorite thing to do.
Kinky. All right. Contestant number 2. Some people call me a jaguar. I'm a wild animal. If you were a type of animal, what would you be?
Well, any feline will do, but certainly the best feline in the world, a cheetah.
I like that in, let's say, number 1. I'm a groovy guy and I always got to dance to a song. What's your favorite song to sing? And maybe drop a few bars on me.
My favorite song to sing is You and Me, Baby. We're gonna go after the show and have some flow. I can sing that to you at night, darling, just as I'm getting to know you and meet your parents.
Well, I must say, Dan, you've got 3 live ones here tonight.
So I do, so I do.
And now it's time for the next round of questioning, and this is called the why round. Here's how it works. Dan, you're going to ask a question to one of the contestants. No matter what they say, you're going to say why. And no matter what they answer, you're going to say why. And you're going to keep it up until you feel you've got to the core of the person.
I got you. Let's see, contestant number 2. What do you like more, people or animals?
Animals, animals,
Why?
because they're slinky and sexy and they're intuitive and they know what they like to eat.
Why?
Because deep inside, we're all animals.
Why? All right. I'm going to move on to number 1. Number 1, I want to ask you a question. Why do you want to meet my parents?
Was that me, darling?
That's you, I think, by your voice.
I want to meet your parents, darling, because you see, I know you as a swing dancer. I've sang the swing before. Let me tell you, I have swung and sang all over town, baby, but I can promise you something. Once you sing the song of relationship with me, your parents, they'll never forget me. I'll tell you what, the parents of my ex-boyfriend, the very famous celebrity, never forgot me either. At least they still have the restraining order.
Why?
Oh, it's a long story, baby, but maybe I can tell you over a nice romantic candlelit dinner where I sing to you. And we won't need to do the swing anymore. I say we'd move to tango.
I like the sound of that. Now, number 3. It sounds like you're a swinger yourself. You got a friend with you always. What would you do if you couldn't be with Marcia?
Marcia, that's not funny. You know what? I can do without her. We always get in fights anyway. What would I do without her? I'd live my life the way I should be living it, independently by myself, away from her.
Why?
Because she drags me down.
Why?
She takes center stage.
Why?
She talks over me. She wants to be the boss of everything.
No further questions, your McGroininess.
All right, and that means it's time for the Let's Go Private round. This time, Dan, you're only going to get to go private with one of them, so you get to favor one of them and make the other two jealous. Which one will you choose?
I think I'm going to slide into the lounge with number 1.
All right, let's give them their privacy.
Number 1, you seem pretty sultry gal.
You know it, baby. In fact, it's getting a little hot in here. Don't mind if I take my coat off.
Listen, I gotta say, no one's ever wanted to meet my parents before. I've never had a relationship that lasted that long.
Really, darling? Why is that?
I guess I always think there's gonna be something better around the corner, so I always turn.
I know what you mean, darling. You see, but there is something better. There won't always be, because it's me. I'm the best there is, baby. Don't you know
Number
it?
1,
I hear it in my heart.
your microphone is picking up your rhythms, and your heart, it's grooving to some kind of beat that I like.
Oh, darling, why don't you come with me and we'll find a new dance all on our own?
You think that if the two of us was together, we could make it? That I wouldn't run out on you?
What do you mean, run out on me? What are you planning?
Listen, this is moving so fast, I don't know if I'm ready to settle down, number 1.
Just like you to say it, isn't it? You and your swinging moves, you and your disco grooves. You
I'm
never
a rambling
around
man.
long enough to hear the end of the song, do you, Dan? Typical.
Well, maybe just once I could get to the end of the song and hear a lady get to the climax.
Wouldn't that be wonderful? I can sing a tune you'll love to hear directly in your ear.
Well, all right. That's all the time we have for our private round there. Let's bring the lights back up on our other two contestants. Well, the two of you, number 2 and number 3, are certainly at a disadvantage, but that's all right, because it's time for the ping pong round, which is going to give number 2 and number 3 a chance to make up some ground if they can. Dan, you will ping pong lightning fast questions back and forth between number 2 and number 3 and number 2 and number 3 to see which one of them might claw their way just a little bit higher on the ladder of your love. Ready and go.
Number 2, how many babies do you want?
3.
Number 3, friends or your lover?
Lover.
Number 2, mom or dad?
Mom.
Number 3, humans or dolls?
Humans. Humans. Always humans now, never dolls.
Number 2, how many pets is too many pets?
None.
Number 3, would you meet my parents?
Yes.
And that brings our ping pong round to an end. And it's time for Pat and Dan, one-on-one. I'm going to turn the lights off on all of our contestants and have a word with Dan. All right, Dan, I'm just testing out the waters here. Where are you leaning?
Well, I gotta tell you, Pat, I like all three women. I wish I could go from one to the next, but if you're saying I could only pick one, why, I gotta say I'm leaning towards number one. I think that the two of us could really have a chance. Number three, I don't really know if she's ready for this kind of thing. I think that she is a jealous type and always gonna worry that her friends have it better than her. And number two, why, she wants a wild animal, which I can be, but if I'm gonna be a papa, then I gotta settle down.
Well, maybe so, Dan. And I'm going to give you one more opportunity to talk to the number one, your lounge singer. However, I'm going to offer you a challenge. I'm going to suggest to you that it's just possible you're leaning towards the lounge singer because the two of you had made a lifelong art form out of hiding who you really are from each other. She behind her smoke-filled rooms and spangled headbands, and you behind those rose-colored glasses. I'm going to have the two of you go private, Dan, and I'm going to ask you to look at her and ask her questions without those rose-colored glasses on.
Okay.
Let's bring number one into this private room, and I am out of here.
You've been talking to those other ladies behind my back again, haven't you?
It's not like that, number one. I just like them as friends, you see? A guy can't have female friends.
I'm sorry. You're right. I've had plenty of male friends myself.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's a lonely business being a lounge singer. Sometimes you really do have to just make friendships. And okay, fine. So, that celebrity wasn't really my boyfriend. You see, I was so lonely. I saw him coming in, and I just attached onto him. And he picked up the restraining order too. Therefore, I don't really know what it's like to be in a relationship either. My darling. I'm so sorry I lied. You see, I sing long tales all the time. But I have a new song in my heart. It's called The Truth and Love.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Why don't we give it a shot? Maybe a duet of sorts.
And that's all the time we have for our private round. All right, let's bring the lights back up on all of our contestants because it is time for Last Licks. I could have called it something else, but I just like saying Last Licks. And that means you have one more question for each contestant, Dan. Contestants, you have one more answer to try to seal the deal, and then Dan is going to make his choice. Take it away, Dan.
Number three, I want you to ask Marcia what she thinks about the two of us being an item.
Marcia, what do you think about that? You mean you just want to go out with Marcia? Are you kidding me? You want me to ask her what is going to be if she wants to go out with you without me? What? Marcia? What?
I haven't heard her voice, but I just feel kinship. I feel like her inner voice is what I like.
Well, I think you're so sexy. You're like the most important person in my whole life right now. And I really want to go out with you because you just sound like you would be an awesome dancer and you probably wear really cool shades and all that. I just can't wait to even meet you in real life, okay?
And now it's time for your next question.
Number two, I want you to whisper to me like I were a big cat. Tell me how to fix myself.
Listen, I can't tell you how to fix yourself, honey. It's not in me to tell you that. And I learned that because I spent 5 years in a cult. And number 3, you might want to listen to this. The cult of ventriloquism with Captain Loudy Doody. Does that sound familiar?
Oh my God.
I escaped that cult. I became a cheetah whisperer.
I thought I recognized you.
You can do it too. You
Miss,
can
what is-
become,
What?
you can be who you really want to be. And you too, Dan. It's inside you.
Well, that leaves us with your final question for contestant number 1.
Number 1. I know that we're both in the business of entertaining. When it comes down to it, those types of relationships never last. Tell me, how long do you think we have if we were to be together?
Darling, we'd have forever.
All right, it is time to make your choice. Let's bring the lights down on all 3 of our lovely contestants. And now, Dan, this is the moment that you've been waiting for. Let's start by you telling us, please, which one of the contestants are you not going home with tonight?
I gotta say, first one out the gate is number 2.
All right, let's bring number 2 back into the light. Dan, why don't you look right at number 2 and tell her why she failed?
Number 2, you'd make too much sense. It feels like you'd be too good for me. I like my life how it is. This sorry sack of sexiness. And you sound like you'd change me too much. I can't have that.
That's probably true. I would change you too much.
All right, well, thank you. We have some parting gifts for you on the way out. All right, Dan, now let's find out who is the other contestant with whom you are not going home tonight.
It breaks my heart because I feel like I've known her for years, but number 1.
Number 1.
I'm sorry, number 1. I thought we could be together, but I turned. I saw another gal and I was unfaithful to you.
Just classic, isn't it?
How'd you get that through the curtain?
Well, I'm sorry about that, number 1, but you call a cab now. Well, Dan, I must admit I didn't see that coming, but that means it's time to meet the woman or women you will be going home with tonight. Let's bring number 3 out here. Well,
Oh my God,
I
you're
gotta tell you, number 3 is my last one that I'm eliminating because I picked Marsha.
Marsha.
What?
Well,
What? Say it again. I
uh,
didn't hear.
I want to be with Marsha.
all right, number 3, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to step slightly out of camera range so that we could talk to Marsha directly. Number 1, I mean, Dan, why don't you look right into Marsha's bangs and tell her why you chose her?
Marsha, you feel as close to me as the hair on my chest. I mean, everything about you is the real deal. If I'm going to settle down with someone, it's got to be you.
I feel exactly the same way. I knew you would be wearing shades.
Well, oh,
Should I take him off, Pat?
I think you should.
Oh, you're as handsome as just how I imagined.
Wow, those shades really clouded my vision. Did I just pick a ventriloquist dummy?
I'm afraid you did. And now there's no turning back.
Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
Well, our two happy loving people are going to be sent on a special mating game date all the way on a 6-week Disney cruise, where they will not only be able to enjoy the entertainment, but they'll be able to provide it as well. And that brings our show to a close. Let's bring all of our contestants back into the light, and let's give our audience on the count of 3 a big mating game goodbye. 1, 2, 3. So long, everybody, and may you find your dearest love. And that is our show, my friends. I'm not really Pat McGroin, I'm Ken Adams. And everybody, let's give the audience a great big bow on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. My friends, the mating game was conceived and directed by Valerie Regalia, who's playing contestant number 1, our lounge singer. Wherever you are, stand up and give an extra round of applause to Valerie. The mating game was absolutely one of our biggest hits and favorite shows. We brought it back again and again and again because we and the audience could not get enough of it. And just stick around, who knows, one day I bet you'll be seeing it again. Thank you all so much for being here. Please come back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. We are celebrating the holidays with Spontaneous Holiday Stories, a series of improvised, heartwarming tales in the style of Charles Dickens' Christmas stories. So please come back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock and celebrate with us. We'd love to see you there. Synergy Theater teaches online improv classes. If you think you might want to learn how to improvise, please give it a try. Go right on to synergytheater.com, click on the School of Improv pages, and take an improv class. We have classes for everybody from the pure beginner all the way up to the seasoned professional. Finally, Synergy Theater is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable arts organization. We always rely on the kindness of our patrons to help us do what we do. And we need your kindness more than ever now. If you have the means and are willing to help us continue to bring free online entertainment to the whole world for as long as we're all stuck inside together, please go to synergytheater.com, click on Support Synergy Theater. Any amount of money you can offer us now would go a very, very long way. I know several of you who are watching right now have already donated, and very generously so. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the kindness and for the gifts that you have already given us. My friends, stay safe, come back tomorrow, and always remember, Synergy Theater loves you. Good night, everybody.